East Podcast, WATP.
So it's been nonstop since Anthony announced he got a job with WABC in New York City that everyone is asking Opie about his response to it, his reaction to it, and Opie can't stop himself. He keeps talking about it over and over again, which causes Anthony to then talk about what Opie is saying, which is fantastic. I love it all. I'm really enjoying this era of Opie because, Adam, you've been pointing out to me there's very little differences between Opie and Stuttering John at this point.
It's at the point where Cardiff could have another game show that is just you read us the text and we have to guess whether it's John or Opie because they're using the same language about the same things in the same way.
I kind of already have that game.
Can't wait.
Who said it?
There's a lot of blame to go around. None of the blame goes to Opie though. It's everyone else's fault for the predicament that we're all in, and it starts with this. Opie is talking about Anthony here and how Opie and Anthony, the show, ended.
After 11 years since Anthony ruined the best radio show in America, the Opie and Anthony show, he's the reason the show ended because he couldn't help it with his stupid racist crap.
Isn't that interesting? Opie has always said the show was going to end anyway. Mm-hmm. He was done with it. He was ready to move on. They were going to go their separate ways. Maybe Opie'd go in the afternoons, let Anthony and Jim stay in the mornings. The show was over. It hadn't been good for a long time. And now he's coming on and going, the show would have kept going, but Anthony was a racist. That's what ended it. It's so convenient now that all of a sudden he can blame Anthony for ending the greatest radio show of all time. Similar to Stuttering John, he changes the past to fit whatever he's complaining about.
To fit whatever he's feeling at the time. And it's crazy. He's normally so still, and now he's just like all over the place. He's shaking his head. He can't make eye contact with the camera. He's just kind of actually flailing in front of us, mentally and physically, trying to process whatever's happening and come up with anything to say in response because he's got nothing.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of feels going on in these clips. And so talking about Anthony's return to radio.
Anthony Cumia is making his triumphant return to part-time AM radio, and I'm supposed to be jealous. No, of course I'm not jealous. What year is this? Oh, my God, I'm making my triumphant return to CB Radio. I'm going to have a handle. My handle's going to be Greg Shells. And I'm going to be heard on Channel 19 as I make my triumphant return to CB Radio.
I just want to point out another similarity between Opie and John. That was a tweet. We showed it on this show. Opie put that tweet out, and now he's reading his tweet on the show because the joke was so good he had to reuse that.
And just like John, he had a guest on yesterday, and he told a joke, and then a minute later his guest came on, and he had to tell them the joke because they hadn't heard it. Once again, reminding us that this show is not for any audience watching. It's just for him and whoever he's talking to.
Yeah, just having a conversation with, was that with Ron the waiter?
Yes, who goes by a wacky new name now. It's pretty funny.
Ron the ringworm. Because they think he has a ringworm, guys.
It's crazy. And he's a waiter. That's a terrible idea.
I know.
Of course I'm not jealous. And he's lying. He's not making $300,000 at ABC. And there's not even a chance. Lies, 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 yeah. Lies, 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 yeah. Who did that? Lies. Oh, the Thompson twins. Oh, my God, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut on your home of rock and roll. Whatever, man. We live in a world where people just make up shit. So what are you going to do?
This man needs a friend. He needs to have normal adult conversations with someone. This is not how normal people behave. And I honestly think talking into a screen for hours a day drives people insane.
You would
know.
It's
not healthy. So he's all over the place, and he has to start soothing himself with his own self-serving lies.
I don't know what that means. Thank you. Thank you. You know what? I'm putting you in timeout. You just wrecked the flow of my live stream, not Jimmy Stewart, so you're in timeout.
Oh, now he's blocking people.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder who else we know does
Not
things
Jimmy
like
Stewart.
that.
I've heard that name before.
Yep.
If you're blocking
never got a
people
job
and you're
offer.
looking at a stream that has about 20 to 30 people in it maximum, you've got a real problem.
It's a high percentage of
it's-
people you're blocking, yes.
You never got a job offer at ABC. You are seething that Anthony's back at radio and embarrassing you. Ha ha ha. I just tell the truth. If you don't want to believe that I've had numerous offers to go to WABC, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. If you don't want to believe that, I'm not going to sit here and convince you. I know I'm telling the truth. The people around me know I'm telling the truth. My family knows I'm telling the truth. It just didn't make sense.
Oh my gosh, that's another one. Ask AJ Benza. Ask, he's always doing that. Ask Robert Myers. Ask my family knows. I'm telling you. It's like, none of this means anything. Daddy won, Opie.
Yeah, and he said, ask anyone around me. He's alone.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Is Doggy there? I don't see him.
It just didn't make sense money-wise because, I'm in a position that I need to make money. I need to make a certain nut. That nut would be hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So when a radio station offers you, in my case, that was a guesstimate because what they really offered was a revenue share with the money they would make in advertising to do a couple hours a day. The offer was 10 a.m. to noon was the last offer.
Okay. This is very odd. And we played this on the show when Opie was talking about this years ago, where he was offered to go on the radio and it was going to be a revenue split and he couldn't make sense of it because he wasn't going to make enough money because he had to pay out his agent and the co-hosts and all this kind of stuff. But now he's saying he was offered the 10 to 12 slot on WABC. I looked this up. You know who has that slot right now? Brian Kilmeade. Brian is an anchor on Fox and Friends. He is famous. Millions of people watch, Fox News channel and shit. And this station is very much a conservative talk station. If you look at their lineup, they have Mark Levin, Roger Stone, Bill O'Reilly. I mean, these are all like the big conservative hosts. And they're asking Opie to be in the late morning slot of that station. Doesn't even make sense. Why? Opie doesn't talk politics, as you know. Like, what's he going to do? Go to the phones? Just be like, hey, what do you think about the last executive order? Opie's like, executive orders are stupid. I don't know. You'd have nothing.
The way his mind thinks, I bet he believes that he hasn't been political just so he wouldn't screw up getting a gig like this. So if he was asked to be on conservative radio, he could say, yeah, sure, you're not going to find any, differing opinions in my past. He doesn't understand that to be on conservative radio, you would not need to have no opinion. You would need to have a strong opinion like all of those people that you mentioned that are on the network have. Like you said, what is he going to talk about? And can I just say something really fast? The arrogance of this guy to talk to, KB's talking to cops like that, and this guy is talking about money. He's saying, I couldn't take the gig. I need money. And that wasn't enough money. You motherfucker, if you need money, you take a job, even if it's not as much as you would like. Why? Because you need money. Do not talk to us like you're someone who really understands what it means to need money in today's society. You sound like a spoiled, just like puffy little just
from his beach house.
Yeah, from your beach house with the view of the Hamptons Ocean, like a classic sign of privilege. It is so offensive, and he doesn't even know. He has no idea. He's thinking he's relating to the common man. Yeah, we all take jobs and lose jobs. If you need money, you take it, or you shut the fuck up.
And I have clips later on with Anthony watching this exact portion and reacting to it, and the other thing that Opie's not understanding here, okay, let's say this was a real thing, that they said, Opie, watching the 10 to noon slot, we don't have a salary for you, but whatever we sell in advertising revenue, we'll split with you, and you'll make a portion of that, and so here's what the ranges might be or something like that. Opie could take that opportunity and then promote other things that he's doing and build a larger audience that isn't Opie and Anthony people, that aren't jaded with his past career, and he could start something else up. Being on the radio, I looked up the ratings. WABC is the highest rated AM station in New York City. It's got a 4.6 share. It's doing way better than WFAN, the fan, has a 2.7. Now, I realize the Giants and the Jets suck, so maybe that's part of it. But still, when I think about sports talk, I always assume, well, that's going to do. That's an FM station that's doing sports talk. And yet, this AM station is doing twice the number. So there's an audience there. I'm with you guys that AM radio is not my go-to. But you're in an area that reaches 14 million people with this signal, probably more at nighttime, especially with AM. And so, yeah, there's a huge audience out there. And Opie's only thought is, I need to make this amount of money in order to do the job.
If he actually had somebody working on this podcast with him, if he had like a Royce or even just a friend, they would say, dude, if you do that gig for no money, you can plug the podcast. It's only a couple hours. Do it, and everyone will know about them. It's free advertising. Like, for us to buy advertising on WABC would be so expensive. You could do it for 2 hours a day. And no, his ego won't let him, and we're supposed to feel bad for him.
And he says, I don't know if I have the clip, but he says at some point in here, he's like, that's going to be a lot of work to do a radio show. It's like, dude, all you do on your show now is read the chat. On a radio show, you can take phone calls like you love to do. Problem is, Opie would have to know what the fuck is going on in the world and in New York City. And he can't be bothered to know what's happening.
I guess I said it years ago, knowing that eventually Anthony was going to get a job there. But Chaz calls me. He's like, Opie, I just need you on this station. How about 10 a.m. to noon? You don't have to work Fridays. He goes, but and I go, at that time, I did say, all right, because I was kind of thinking, it wouldn't be that bad to go on a radio station to promote the podcast I was doing with Carl Ruiz.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
There you go.
I said, all right, Chaz, I want to hear more. He goes, all right, so it's 10 a.m. to noon, 4 days a week. We'd want you in studio, but you certainly could do a whole bunch of shows wherever you want.
Sounds amazing.
At that time, I was pretty much living at the beach house.
Great.
And he goes, well, there's one problem. What's the problem, Chaz? That's why I know they're not offering Anthony $300,000. He's lying through his teeth. Chaz goes, we can't pay you. We can't pay you. I go, what do you mean? So he goes, what we can do is what's called a revenue share. So whatever money we bring in advertising-wise, we'll split with you. And so then we crunched the numbers, and at the time they were bringing in for that time slot somewhere just under about $100,000 in ad revenue. I would have to split half of that with WABC, and I wouldn't get all of that because I was only doing 2 hours of that time slot. Are you still following me?
Nope.
And then I would have to pay my agent. I would have to pay Carl. I would have to pay Vic. It absolutely wasn't worth it to me. So,
all right. So Opie's only thinking about what the offer was money-wise and not considering anything else here, which is fine, but Opie's worth zero. Until someone offers him more money, that's what he is worth.
But isn't the point of a revenue sharing too that if you do well and you increase the revenue, you'll make more?
He knows that's not even an option. He won't even consider it.
Yes, correct. Yeah, he even says, he goes, well, based on what they're making in that time slot now, I would make blank.
They're playing
but you're Opie, right? Shouldn't you be making way more than the guy from Fox and Friends because you're so famous and you know how radio works? But anyway,
he's 18, Carl.
He keeps explaining that this station, who just hired Anthony, has been going after him for all this time. And then he's like, all right, I want to move on. I don't want to talk about this stuff anymore. He tries to transition into some political talk about Trump.
What's up, Opester? What's up? Ant said he might get a chance to interview Trump at ABC. What do you think? That'd be absolutely amazing. I don't compete with Anthony. I would wish him well, but you know what? F Anthony. Last time I wished him well, everything was going smoothly. Wrote back. He wished me and my family a Merry Christmas. He said in the text, I could show it again. It's so good we're not taking shots at each other. And then next thing you know, he turned around and quickly and started taking shots at me again. So I'm not going to wish him well. Okay. I just hope that now that he's on, I mean, all kidding aside, I think going to AM radio is kind kind of stupid and bogus, considering where the world is with podcasting and satellite radio still king, and FM, which is kind of falling apart, is above AM radio. The fact is, he'll be talking to a lot more people than me, and if it helps stroke his stupid ego, my thought is if it strokes his ego enough, he'll leave me the F alone finally.
This is you wishing him well?
So that's what I have to say about that. But I'm not wishing him well, because every time I wish him well, he'll write me back, "Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. I really appreciate that." And then the next time he goes on some low-level live stream, because he's unprepared, he goes and attacks me. Go F yourself.
He is spiraling.
Oh, yeah.
Just talking to himself. Just starting off with, I don't care. I don't give a shit. You think I give a crap if this guy's getting a job that sucks anyway? Nobody wants that stupid job. I don't give a shit. Do I give a shit? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. He's literally talking to himself.
See, Opie's in touch.
This is why people are watching Opie right now, because he's a mental case who's actively losing his mind.
Yeah, and he did the John thing of threatening to show the DMs. He's like, I got the text. I'll show
you guys what's going on. And he's trying to do like a fun, lighthearted morning show. Like the whole point of this is like, wake up with Opie. We'll talk about having our coffee, and Doggy might show up. Like that's the whole point of this thing.
And how long does that last?
And then he gets all upset over one fucking free chat that he can't help but read. He doesn't need to read any chats.
Could have had the vegetables.
Could have had the vegetable party.
Yep. Happiest I've ever seen him.
I can't stand that he insists on being backlit.
No shit.
I'm just trying to make a thumbnail for my podcast, OP. I just need one stinking thumbnail. People can see your fucking face.
Turn off the sun.
Fucking shadow man here. All right, so talking about what would Opie do on WABC, it doesn't make sense that you'd even hire him since it's a political talk format.
You don't sound jealous. If I sound jealous, whatever. I'm not jealous. Trust me, I'm not jealous.
Okay.
But when I was talking to those guys, I go, look, I don't want to do politics. And Chaz over there goes, you don't have to do politics. And I was thinking to myself, this was the offer to do the 10 a.m. to noon.
Yeah.
Revenue share. I go, I don't want to do politics though, because you don't have to. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm on WABC and I don't have to do politics. Okay, how is that going to work? They would lose their minds out there in their cars. Why aren't you talking about the New York City politics? Oh my God, no. But Chaz is a really good guy over there. He runs the whole cluster of stations. And when I met him, he hugged me. He goes, you and Anthony made me so much money back in the day when you were at NEW. I'm like, what? You didn't work for WNEW? He goes, we got to, so many people wanted to advertise on Opie and Anthony back then that we got to spill over. To this day, I don't really understand, because he was working for another radio station.
Yeah.
But I guess some of these people couldn't get on our show, so they bought time on his station or something. But he goes, no, man, I made so much money off you guys, even though I wasn't officially a salesman for WNEW. And he literally gave me a hug.
That doesn't make any sense. He even caught himself, too, as he's telling the story. Like, this guy never even worked for my show, but he said that my show made him money, which it would do the opposite if all the ratings were on his show, and this guy's selling for another channel.
And that young man's name was Conrad Arnold. And they brought him to me.
Yeah, it's right back to people praising him and what a hero he's been.
I mean, he's spinning so hard. He's like, Ant got a new gig at ABC, but I once got a hug.
Yep.
Twice, yeah, as you said. Okay. So it's crazy, too, because as Opie's trying to figure out why he's not working on the radio and Anthony is, it started with there's no money in radio. They couldn't offer me enough money. And then it turns into, and they would want me to do politics. And I said, I can't do politics. And they said, that's okay. You don't have to do politics. Well, that sounds like you don't know what to do then, Opie. You're Opie Radio. You're the guy. And we go, hey, do you want to work on a radio station? He's just like, I don't know. What would I talk about?
He had a long list, and he's mentioned all of the things that he won't do on the show. He hasn't said one thing that he would. Do you know what it's like when you hire a job and the guy's like, first things first, here's a list of all the things that won't happen? This guy's unhireable.
I'm going to take a lot of breaks. I don't do well with authorities, so don't tell me what to do.
I'm going to lose things.
I'm going to lose things.
I'm sick a lot.
Yes. And if you tell me to write an email with 5 things I did last week, there's no fucking way I'm writing that email. I don't know what I did.
So when do I start?
When do I start?
And they refuse to be on camera. I must be in the shadows because anything else other than me is much more interesting. So just show that first.
All right, here's a quick one. Opie thinks that Anthony, has everyone drinking the Kool-Aid out there.
I believe they offered you 40 G's and Anthony 300,000. I believe whatever you want, Edward. Like I said, you guys drink the Kool-Aid. You guys all drink the Anthony Kool-Aid. So believe whatever you want. Let me get rid of this guy. He's trying so hard, and none of your hate will be seen by anybody. Have fun making another account.
Wow.
Who said it?
Yep, it really is. Adam's thesis here is that we have Stuttering John minus the alcohol is basically what we're seeing here. There's no awareness, no talent. He's feeding the trolls nonstop, but then also hates it. His only content is reacting to trolls. He's reading insults throughout the show.
He does do a beer show, Carl.
He does a beer show.
He has no neck. He just said the thing that ended John's relationship with Howard. It was when John said, drink the Kool-Aid. I'm sure you're all drinking the Kool-Aid. So what
Right.
language does he use? The exact same language.
Also, this is an important point to make, and it will be made later by Anthony himself. I have the clip. Anthony never said he's making $300,000.
Oh, wow.
The guy who chatted him said he's making $300,000. And Opie started singing lies, 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 and he's calling him a liar and yelling over and over again. And this was the thing that we made fun of Opie for last week and the week before. He lets the chat tell him things, and he believes that is what Anthony said or did. We did that? What a fucking asshole. It's like, yeah, this is the same thing that John used to do, too.
Exactly.
All the time. Kevin Brennan just said your kids are losers. What? Or even with Anthony, too. They used to tell him Anthony just said this thing on his show. And John would lose his shit over it. It's like, why are you believing trolls? And why is your show dictated by them? You can't have any other format than to read the notes of people who don't like you and are actively clowning you to your face?
It's such an odd scenario because his career would truly be doing so much better if he didn't do anything at all. If he just went away and sat home, goodwill would develop. People would start to miss him. They might even ask him to do things. But here he is actively showing us every day why we should never spend any time near him, listening to him, or spend any money on him ever.
That's so sad. This company would run better if you weren't in it. Yeah, but it's called Opie Inc. Like, yeah, I just said this company would run better if you weren't in it.
There are politicians that they're like, your public appearances are not helping. We just
Right.
need your name and you to shut the fuck up. Just let your name do the work and you just shut the fuck up and stay at home.
All right, but Opie's going to talk about, he's got big plans. He's going to defend the Costco live stream that we played on this very show, and I believe others carried it as well.
People watching in any parking can be entertaining. Yeah, man, I thought my Costco live stream was fantastic. My God, we were gonna talk to the guy that puts all the shopping carts back into the corral.
Nice.
I was planning an exclusive interview with that guy.
Sweet.
And then across the parking lot was like a Petco or a PetSmart, same store. You're not fooling anybody, PetSmart and Petco. Mm-hmm. I was going to go in there for an exclusive interview and maybe see how long I could pet kittens until I have a major allergy attack where I have to go to the hospital. I was thinking of doing that. I had plans for the Costco parking lot show. Mm-hmm. But then my son called because he needed my debit card. Mm-hmm. If you want to know the truth, and then I walked in, and the guy's like, "You can't come in here without a membership." I'm not trying to sneak into Costco. Trust me.
So he's defending this embarrassing stream that Tukey played, we played here, and he's going, no, but I wanted it to be better. Good, well, good. Glad to hear that. I wanted to do things that'd be interesting. Cool. It's a good start. Now, next time, execute on those ideas so that you can actually say you did do something interesting and good.
He's completely lost in his mind. It's all fantasy and delusion, and he's officially at the point now where if he thought about it, I could have done it. And isn't that the same thing as having done it? Because in my mind, it feels the same. I had all these great ideas. I was inspired for a minute. That was a great show. Yeah, that was all in your head, Opie. We were just watching a guy in the back of his car alone who, and I believe this part, had to end his stream because his son needed his debit card.
Yes.
The only reason you were asked to go to Costco to begin with.
Correct. Can we just grab your credit card? Well, sometimes they need me to sign the thing. All right, yeah, you come with us then. That's fine.
And it's so much like John to be like, and I couldn't get in because this asshole said I didn't
know.
have a card.
It's
but
not
he had
everything
the
you do is
chippy.
interesting. All of it's uninteresting, actually. That's the rule to live by.
Actually,
This is an interesting. Oh, go ahead, Cardiff.
I do know Costco's policies very well. And the name on the membership card being scanned and the name of the credit or debit card being used need to match.
Oh, do you think that maybe it's his wife's membership?
I don't know. He would have to be in, like,
Yeah, I
He
don't know
would
why
have
they're
to be
giving
there
him a
to-
hard time to. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Probably because it was like a homeless guy.
yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Coming here for the hot dogs.
This is interesting. Opie's using language that tells me either he wants to be the center of the Dabbleverse or subconsciously he does. He doesn't realize it.
You still in real estate? Kinda. I mean, kinda. When I was first let go from SiriusXM, I dabbled. A friend of mine was in real estate, and I dabble. I was involved with a couple deals, made some nice pocket money on the side. Nothing crazy.
Right here, that we need this.
Not actively doing it. I thought I would like it more than I did. I just dabbled.
We need that drop. Got it. Right there. Why did he have to say dabble 5 times? He knows he's in the Dabbleverse. People point it out to him all the time. His thing used to be
Babble, babble, babble.
and now it's dabble, 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 apparently. What a
He's lost it.
transformation.
He's lost it.
I don't know that you ever had it, but I hear what you're saying. There's
point.
been a transformation. I think he really has transformed into that Stuttering John arc, which is impressive. It's not easy to do. A lot of people can't pull that off.
Well, it's one thing to watch John circle the drain in his car looking like a homeless lesbian, but watching Opie circle the drain at his beach house all by himself, totally different. And yet they're kind of the same.
No, it's John with money and not an addiction to alcohol.
Yeah, right.
They both didn't process losing their dream gigs. They both are still stuck, frozen there, and in denial about it. And since then, John has had to suffer many different humiliations watching all of his friends succeed. Watching Ross the intern from The Tonight Show has never been bigger than right now. Watching everyone, Howard, everyone that turned their backs on him is continuing to thrive. And it takes away John's neck and it makes him lower and lower and lower. And Opie now has the same thing. You can't see his neck. He's getting lower and lower and lower in that frame. And, you know, he's bitter and he's railing against his enemies in this really, it broke him. Watching this happen to his friend, his enemy, get his dream gig just broke him. And what he's doing now is just flailing around. So I think if we're looking for a new John, this is it. Like, this is happening in real time, and it's
happening.
riveting.
It's happening in real time. And what's interesting, as you were setting that up, you were talking about how John had to watch good things happen to everyone around him as his life became more and more miserable. But what John did in order to get him through all of that was blame everyone else. It wasn't his fault. It was Shuey's fault. It was my fault. It was Howard's fault. It was, he's throwing out the blame game. Well, Opie's doing the exact same thing.
Stop bad-mouthing everyone, Anthony, Jim, etc. Make friends and maybe things will turn around for you. Stop with the Stuttering John cry. Shut your stupid mouth.
So he's Opie Unleashed. He's on the street in Manhattan, and he's just reading the chat like he does. And a guy goes, hey, stop blaming everyone and trashing everyone. It's not helping you, obviously. And Opie's response to good advice, sound advice, is, oh, go fuck yourself.
Yep.
And he's going to double and triple and quadruple down.
Fuck off.
Just another punk. I actually took the high road with Anthony all these years. All these years. But now the gloves are off. All these years I took the high road. As it gets back to me, Anthony trashed me on this show and that show. He's trashing me on a regular basis on his show.
Sounds like Anthony drew first blood.
The gloves are off and you're getting your ass beat.
Yeah, right.
It's also a very John thing to want credit for. It's like Alec Baldwin saying, like, I was chill for a minute until I shoved that guy against the car. What about the time when I was fine? What about that?
You've been dedicating your channel to hating Jim and Anthony and Sam for years now. This isn't like a brand new thing. It's like, Find That had enough. No, this has been going on.
He trashed you in 2 books. He went on Joe Rogan and trashed you. I finally had it. So shut your stupid mouth.
I remember Anthony on Joe Rogan. I don't remember him trashing Opie. This is another thing that John does. If someone makes a joke or, giggles about something, oh, he's trashing me. Find the clip. Play the clip, Opie. It was Anthony trashing you on Joe Rogan. I'd be surprised.
Why are they both using this word trashing? Why are they? I've never used that word in my life. Now I say it every day.
I know,
Where did
it's so
this
weird.
come from? Why is it the same word?
I don't get it at all.
God, I love the people that ignore the other side of things. They know the crap Jimmy put me through, the crap Anthony put me through. And I would take my little softball shots here and there. But finally had it.
So Opie has to justify his behavior. Mm-hmm. So someone goes, hey, man, stop saying shit about Jim Norton and just fucking move on with your life. Oh, you're taking his side just because I'm the one being irrational and lashing out with no reaction from him ever? Yeah. That's why he's taking his side on it.
And he very clearly explains, Anthony hurt me, so I'm going to take it out on you. This nice person offering me advice. So I'm going to block you because I'm done with this shit that guy has done to me. And then immediately says, with no sense of irony, I'm sick of people only seeing one side.
Right. It's amazing.
It's like a cartoon character.
It really is. All right, so now Opie, this is another thing. Now he's on with Ron, the waiter. And now he's claiming that WABC reached out to him just a week ago with the job offer. Now, when he was talking about the revenue share and having to bring Carl Ruiz over and pay all that, we covered that when he was talking about it. So I believe he was in conversations with radio stations that offered him zero money and asked him if he wanted to be a DJ. But I'm not buying this.
The money part of it never made sense to me.
When's the last time they've reached out to you? Is this recent?
ABC reached out to me February 11th again. Yes.
Oh, that's like last week.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
And what? There's not enough money?
No, there's nothing. There's nothing there for me. I need to make a certain amount of money, or it's kind of a waste of time. I need to make way more than, let's just say it was 40,000. That was a guesstimate because it was something called revenue share where they were going to split the money they make on the day part that I was going to do. And then I would have to pay my agent. I would have to pay Carl at the time. I would have to pay Vic at the time.
Yeah,
I would have to pay
February 11th.
Sherrod.
Yeah,
so in the
February
end,
11th,
I wasn't going to
though.
bring home any money whatsoever. And so then you have to think, well, do you do it to promote your podcast? And the podcast was doing pretty well, way better than it does now. So maybe you use the ABC.
Wait a second. He's definitely said the opposite of that before. His numbers are up and things are going well. And then he's been talking this week about how when Carl Ruiz was the co-host, he was doing a lot better. It sounds good now. And I'll play the rest of this clip, but I got to call bullshit on all of this because Opie started that whole conversation by saying they just reached out to me February 11th. Mm-hmm. And then he goes back to whatever the offer was years ago about a revenue share. So what was this correspondence February 11th? Was it, hey, Opie, you still want to work for free? Like, what do you mean? Also, the fact that Opie can't be a radio host without Vic and Carl and Sherrod. He needs all these people around him, whereas Anthony would be like, yeah, I can do 2 hours. That's fine. I'll come on and do 2 hours every day on the show. I'm interesting enough as a person. I have things to talk about.
Maybe the correspondence on February 11th was enough. How many times do we need to say no?
Right. Yeah, who was initiating this conversation?
And he says correspondence, and sometimes it's DMs. I feel like this was like a quick back and forth over Twitter, and that's it.
I've never gotten a job offer through a DM. That's a good point.
He got like a promotional advertisement from WABC, and he misread it and thought it was a job offer.
Your podcast, and then maybe it's worth it as far as that goes. But in the end, I went for a hard pass Because it's a lot of work to do radio every day, Ron. And if you're not being paid properly, for me, it's not worth it.
Is what you're doing now a lot of work, Opie? What's the difference? Shouldn't you be working the job you want to have? Isn't that the whole point? Like, put in the effort, show him you can do it. And now he's complaining it's too much work to do radio. Also, I have a solution for Opie if he's listening. If you need a guy to help you on the show who works cheap, Christian Blatt. Always available, very agreeable, goes above and beyond. Get that guy on the show.
Extremely boring, too.
Whoa. Did you see what's Frenchie on it today?
I did.
It's great.
Great producer.
Adam sent this over to me. The latest episode of Opie Unleashed. This is just quick. It has some production value now. They put together like an intro for him, and it shows like New York City, and it scrolls around. It's pretty fantastic. And then the content starts, and it all goes downhill.
Start.
Looking at buildings, more buildings.
Made it to the top of the Chrysler building. It is so hot in here. Climb through a network of ladders, at least 100 to 200 feet.
So this is called NYC's Forbidden View. They're at the top of the Chrysler building.
What a trip. This is pretty crazy, Moses.
I know, man, but it's really fun.
Yeah.
And you know, I honestly think everybody should be allowed to see this and do this. Like, we're up here on the spire of a fucking Chrysler building, man. Like, it's like kind of nothing more iconic.
So Opie's showing where this guy is crawling into. He's got the mine helmet on with the flashlight and everything. And Opie's just standing there filming him. Hey, man, pretty high up there, huh? Yeah. Cool view, too.
You know, I'm just looking right across 42nd Street right now.
Get out the window. Amazing.
Man, this is like cooler than a lot of mountains.
There we go.
To the depths of hell.
There you go. Another episode of Opie Unleashed NYC. This channel's going to blow up. It's only got 1,600 subscribers right now. This thing. Sky is the limit for Opie.
It's stock footage of New York City.
Right.
It's old white men in their jeans. It's a real shitty iPhone reflective blocked view of this.
Yes.
You know, the point where who is this for? I can find something that's funny somewhere else. I can find stock footage of New York City anywhere else. I can find a better view of from where you are. What is this other than something that when you come home and your wife says, "What did you do today?" you can say that, and it sounds a little more interesting than "I went to the mechanics."
And you can prove it, too, because look, there's a video. I put the video on YouTube.
Who are these podcasts?